Welcome again to the Educational Currency. I'm Robert Namoski, proprietor of the Coaching College and Ultimate Jiu-Jitsu.
I am the ultimate Chris from Ultimate Education.
And I'm Harriet Pentecost. No, I'm Kate Pentecost, producer of the Educational Currency.
And today we have a nightmare on School Street.
Oh.
So this is our topic, and we're going to look at scenarios, etc., that have happened at school or you've experienced or we've heard about. And like I said before, we're ready.
We're ready to roll, eh? And look, you know, we've got a theme happening. Obviously, happy Halloween to everyone out there. As you know, in schools love a good theme day, don't they? You know, getting on top, giving a reason to dress up, doing a fundraiser. Like even some of my mates at their schools, like they have a hero day and they just love it. They just love it, okay, what it does. So we thought we'd go with a bit of a theme tonight, eh, guys?
Yes.
So what's your theme?
What is the theme? So look,
Chris, so what are you dressed up as?
Yep.
Mate, it should be obvious what I'm dressed up as. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time, the ultimate warrior, the man from parts unknown.
That's right.
An inspiration on my life, as you can see.
Absolutely. So you did a bit of wrestling yourself, Chris.
Oh, mate, maybe.
Maybe.
Got a professional wrestler here.
That's it. And
Ex-professional.
My hair used to be this good as well. so
Still is.
That's right, eh?
Still
Living
is
the
if
old
you grow
glory
it.
days. That's it. How about you, Rob? What's your background?
I'll be back. This is it. Ready for you, Mr. Arnie himself.
We're fanboys, aren't we? We're big Arnie fanboys here.
Absolutely. Kate?
Of course, I grew up in the 90s and the noughties, so I am from the Harry Potter universe. Not actually Harry. I'm just a generic Gryffindor on the way to the Quidditch match.
So you're one of those extros.
I'm one of the extras, yes.
That's it. Have you graduated or are you still studying?
I'm still studying. I think I'll be sitting my owls.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Absolutely. So, yeah, like we said, on a more serious note, we're going to look at things we've heard that have happened at school, scenarios that people have spoken to me about, or things we've witnessed, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh.
That's Clint Eastwood.
That's it, eh? That's it. Be next year's outfit.
Absolutely, full cowboy. So, so it's how to handle those scenarios, whether you're a teacher, you're a student, you're a parent, what to expect, what we believe to do, absolutely what not to do. So that's the topic of this podcast.
That's it. So we'll start off and we'll try to categorize it too. And I think we'll start off with like student perspectives, like what are some nightmare scenarios that students could be going into at school? And there are many. We're talking school, you know, anything can be a nightmare scenario. So look, I think one of the first ones is, you know, when an exam's on and you're not prepared. What do you do, Rob?
Cry.
Accept that you're not prepared. Don't stress. You haven't been stressing to now. Relax. That's the only thing you can do. There's no point. If you're not prepared for an exam, take it on the chin.
That's it.
There's nothing else to actually stress yourself out over. And I say this to students. You've had a good time. Enjoy that. You haven't studied. You've relaxed with your friends. You've played your video games. Reflect back on that and go, you know what? I had a good time. I relaxed. I went out. I socialized. I got better at my video game. I'm going to cop it on the chin with this exam.
That's it. Own it, eh?
Now, if you do change your behavior, then obviously you will see results. If your behavior continues, just accept that that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, and don't add that extra anxiety and stress a day or two before the exam, telling yourself, I'm going to study really hard now. Studying, you do not study for a test. You reflect back on what you know. So if you're learning new material a night or two before the exam, you're in serious trouble.
Yeah, it's not going to be effective.
No, and I always say that, I always make the analogy with sport because I'm heavily involved with it. There is no one that lies on the couch, wakes up and is fit.
Yeah.
It's never happened. I'm just genetically, naturally fit, so I don't really need to train. And I'll just get off the couch and I'll come first in whatever event I get into. So that's never happened in the history of anything. Sure, you may have a genetic advantage with some sort of physical activity, but you have to really train hard. And the same thing, you have to study hard. So there's never been a case where, he doesn't really study, he just gets high marks. If the person's had a very high mark, they're lying to you because they didn't study that hard.
Yeah.
And I did it as a kid in high school because you don't want to be teased. You tell someone how much work you put in, then you don't get the mark. Well, you studied so hard anyway, it means you're dumb. So that can be a pressure that I felt as a child going through high school.
Yeah, people hide it, eh?
I hid it. Worse than that, I teased others for trying to study, so it doesn't get reflected back on me.
Look at that, the guilt's coming out. This is getting emotional.
Yeah, it's the Terminator.
That is a very emotional movie.
Yes, it really hit.
T2.
It is, especially T2, that
He goes
ending.
into the molten pit.
The thumb comes up.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We're hitting him already, delving into the past.
Yeah.
What about if I extend it slightly? What happens if for those situations, and Kate, you might be able to address this one, but then the case of the blackout, and you're not remembering things in the exam. I don't know. What's your strategy? What would you do?
Try the next question because then you come back and hopefully you have time just to regurgitate something. Scientifically speaking, when you're having that blackout, what it probably is your amygdala in your brain taking over the rest of your logic circuits. So you're not able to think, you're in fight or flight mode.
Wow.
So what you want to do is get out of that fight or flight mode and then you'll be able to think about it.
The amygdala.
Amygdala.
There's the word of the
I
day.
hope I'm saying that properly.
It's all right. Can you put it on words on the screen when we say it?
Put it down the screen, check the link in the description. But yeah, that's what the blackout is. Happening. It doesn't mean that you don't know it. I think when you come across a question and you really don't know it, it's a different feeling.
Yeah, it's a different, but the case that's actually great advice too, because students are going through that all the time too, and then just go ahead with further questions, get the juices flowing, okay? Because your brain is then making all those connections like that meme, and then it'll hopefully come together and you can revisit that question, but you haven't wasted the time then, have you?
Yeah, you don't want to get stuck in that GIF where it's got all the math symbols.
Yeah, exactly. Math symbols, mate. That's your head permanently, isn't it?
Pretty much. I should have done the Goodwill Hunting, not the Terminator.
Drafting it away on the board.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good. And look, we're currently in a nightmare situation right now. Obviously, at the time, the HSC is occurring, and that's just you're in the situation. Okay, but at the time of when this comes out, October 31st, HSC, they're on.
They're halfway through.
They're halfway through. You are living a school nightmare, but congratulations to you all for being there. Okay,
absolutely.
Push through or make you stronger.
Yeah.
Now, second thing is, well, in the exam scenario, the night before, you have to relax.
Yeah.
Yes, and the morning of.
Morning of.
Morning of. Do not cram the morning of. Again, that's the worst thing you can do to your logic circuits in your brain.
That's the most important. Relax the night before. Get a good night's sleep. There's an episode on sleep.
Yeah, very important.
Look back on that. And what comes out, comes out. Remember, an exam is information you know. Show the examiner what you know, not what you've forgotten. So that's another thing to be careful of with that scenario. Anything else you want to add to that, Chris?
Yeah, well, look, just what you're saying, preparation will help you prepare for the nightmare. Okay, so the days, the weeks before and the schedule you have, once again, some fantastic episodes on scheduling as well. The better you prepare yourself, the better you'll be when that scenario comes along. Preparation is always, chance favors the prepared mind. Steven Seagal movie there, Under Siege 2.
Absolutely.
We might just be whipping out movie quotes all night.
Yeah.
We're to the theme of it.
That's it.
Then we'll go to, there's other scenarios that we'll look at. School isn't just about exams. It's about your circle of friends, people around that you need to socialize with. There could be scenarios where kids are having a hard time with that. So from your experiences, Chris, what have you seen in that?
Well, it's funny because, one of the points I put down for tonight's episode is pretty much in high school, anything that brings attention to yourself is a nightmare scenario. So a whole variety of situations could happen. Anything that kind of makes you stand out, especially when you're one of the more introverted types of students and people are needing to look at you, that's a nightmare scenario, whether it be called up to the board to answer a question. It could be just a simple case like that, or something happens to your uniform. At the end of last term, I had two of my boys, getting towards the end of year 12, they thought they'd have a bit of a wrestling match, all for fun and all that. But no, one of them's pants ripped directly in half, So anything that draws attention to yourself is a nightmare scenario, I believe, out there for our students. Okay, and I think if that student's listening, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. They have to go to the office then, borrow the used pants that are in the office there and wear them home, explain it to their parents, who I'm sure want to murder them when they get home. So there's a lot to it when things like this happen. So I don't know, situations that draw attention to you when you just don't want that attention, that breaks the norm. I think that puts a lot of pressure on young people. I don't know. What do you think, Kate, along those lines of drawing attention? Do you have had any experiences like that?
You just put the attention on me, which as an introvert is not my preferred natural state. Well, I think step one is no matter how much your brain takes you back to that moment, you're not actually reliving that moment.
Yeah.
And also that whilst it's a terrible moment for you, for most people, they don't think about it.
Yeah.
Or at least not in that intense context that you're thinking of it. Or, you just become that funny meme that everyone tells for the rest of their life at a dinner party or something.
Remember that guy?
Remember that one?
Remember Year 7 with Stephen? Not remember Stephen, but everyone remembers the scenario.
You've actually unlocked one that reminded me of, because in most cases you don't talk about him again. Like people laugh in the moment and then over time will fade. One of the worst ones, and it's not even that these people did anything wrong. They obviously didn't wear their uniform on photo day, and the Year 12s have to have their blazers on. And this is in my own graduation year. So they superimposed their heads onto bodies that had the uniform, but they made their heads massive. And that is always a talking point when you get together with old people. Remember his head in the yearbook, how massive it is? So, so just anything that brings that attention to you. So, but in most cases, something like that happens, people aren't going to talk about it, or you can laugh along with it as well.
I had the opposite at my school.
Yeah.
I had the kids with the green, pink and purple hair. It was the emo time. Had their hair color changed in the school year photo.
Wow. And how did that turn out?
It looked, as an adult, it looked fine in the photo.
Okay.
As a teenager, it was, for them, my friends of friends, it was, how dare they take away my individuality?
Yeah, they conformed them.
So then that made everyone remember that so-and-so used to have pink hair.
Yeah, by not having the hair.
By not having the hair. But again, putting perspective into life. If that's the worst thing someone remembers of you from high school, that's not that bad.
That's it, eh?
I think in my high school was actually combing our hair. Was a problem. No, it was for boys. It was the hygiene. Hygiene was a question mark. I remember once we were playing outside in the playground. Must have been year 8 or year 9. I forgot. We all came back in. Some of the boys let some body odor go, which wasn't quite pleasing.
Yikes.
But we all stayed in the room. Some casual teacher walked in, just ran straight out. I think she threw up out the door.
Oh, my God. Just from the stench.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience.
No.
Boys' hygiene is always an interesting one too, because to some boys, hygiene is spraying the links on top of your uniform, and that classifies as a shower. Okay, so it is always interesting in all boys' scenarios what they classify as being clean and
all
hygienic.
boys' schools, be careful. Just hold your nose. Get ready for the hygiene.
Yeah.
There can be situations where once or twice I had it at the school I was working, but it's a stone cold Terminator face.
Yeah, you got to be. You can't react.
So there's no reaction.
No.
Some boy passes wind, you just stone cold walk past, like you don't smell anything. You don't bring attention to it as a teacher. You may open the window up.
Yeah, subtly.
Yeah.
Subtly.
And yeah, that's not bringing attention to anything else that, you do need to control the room, etc.
I think with that too, on that same line, sometimes it's a mental game of chess too, or a Where's Wally, because you're trying to suss out who did it without giving away, and usually someone reveals it in the room too. Like one of the mates will give it away, someone will overreact, Let's see if you can kind of figure it out too, but subtly.
I know how to teach a teacher that previously, this was a fair few years back, told me one kid was constantly passing wind, and this teacher had a bad stomach. So he passed wind next to him.
They went to war.
The teacher won. This was at a public school. I couldn't stop laughing. Just destroyed him.
Fight fire with fire.
Mate, and it was just a quiet thing. Nothing was said. But yeah, it may not be a good thing to advise, but
escalation's
still.
not always a good thing.
But then you have more serious situations in the classroom where I've had the privilege where the school teacher asked me to be part of a well-being with a certain kid, and this kid couldn't adjust, and I just said to him, look, don't be the one that the teacher singles out. That's your goal.
Yeah.
And I said that to my homeroom as well. Some of the boys, they can see they're a little bit lively. I go, come here, sit down. When you walk into the room as a student, if you've had a hard time with teachers, let someone else have that hard time.
Yeah.
It's not you see, your mission is, can someone else have a hard time? Not you. Let someone else be the clown. You just sit back and watch the circus. It's not your job to control the room. It's not your job to comment on what anyone else is doing. But if you've had a hard time at school as a student, you've constantly been on books where the teachers need to sign. Okay, get yourself out of that scenario by stepping into the classroom and going, okay, it will not be me this time.
Yeah.
And just watch the room and see who else it will be. Deflect it onto someone else, where then all of a sudden you look like the good student. Because teachers do have that notion of, oh, such and such is really well behaved this time. Where it's a question of teachers expect certain students to behave a certain way. And when they don't, you actually look better than the students that have been quiet the whole time. You know, so that's advice to actual students who are actually struggling in the classroom. Identify, okay, why is it me? And then just slowly remove that, and you actually may begin to enjoy it.
Yeah, look, that is a nightmare situation. Sometimes you already know you have that personality clash with that specific teacher. A friend's had them before, you know, or an older sibling, and you're walking into it. But it's funny, as you said, if you can take yourself away and not be the target, and it could be just that teacher has very strict classroom management and they're not going to abide by certain things, or initially they might be just trying to figure you out, you know, and they're only going to be tough for those first few weeks. And then as they begin to know you and trust you, things do ease up. But let's say it is a situation where you do feel like you're being the target one. Well, yeah, don't be the target. Go more reserved. Stop doing what action is making that teacher your target. They may find another target. But I find as well, if you can change that situation, I'm going back once again to when I was in high school. I clashed with a few teachers too. In both those situations, when my behavior improved, they were the first to tell my parents my behavior improved. Okay, they were more than happy to say, your son, you know, he's come such a long way and we're so happy. So fantastic advice, you know, just if you can change it, because they were doing their job. They were strict. They were old school. But yeah, they were managing the class and that's what they do. And yeah, I was a year 9 and 10 student. I was a punish. Okay.
We say year 9 and 10, that's the one where you got to watch the most. If I've had to talk to a kid twice, in 2 days in a row, third day, I sit down and have a chat to him. And I explain to him, okay, it's not personal. It's not you. I need to control the room. What you are doing will escalate the room into chaos. Your behavior starts it and there's an avalanche behind. So I explain to the student, that's what you are initiating. You may not realize that. That's what you are initiating. And then I ask the student, okay, you've seen scenarios where it's happened. And I get him to explain scenarios that he has witnessed where the classroom has erupted into chaos. And I explain to them the start of that chaos is your behavior. So I have to stop it immediately. Are we clear on this? And when they agree that they're clear on it, soon as they walked into the classroom next time, I went, hey, look, he went like this. So it's a question of he begins to see the bigger picture. So even to kids, you think they're kids, but when you explain to them a bigger scenario of what is happening in the room, they get to see the whole room now. And they can see where that small behavior that you think is small is like a little hole in a dam. I have to stop it immediately. And usually, as professional teachers, you don't particularly hate the kid, you just don't like the behavior. But I always like to explain the follow-up of the behavior, what happens in the room if you continue with this, and then this is why I have to stop it. And then another thing is, well, if you don't stop it, there's other consequences that I'm sorry, I will have to put you through. And then when I've explained all that to them, there seems to be a bit more of a, okay, it's a more mature approach. I'm speaking to you in that way with a certain level of maturity that I know you can understand. And 9 out of 10 times, I do get that, yes, sir, no problem. And it really worked well for me. It was the biggest panic class I had where, like, I was used to these top-end classes. Then I had a bottom class, first time ever. And I went, okay, how am I going to handle this? Another teacher advised me, gave me all these booklets and notes, etc. and there was another teacher there to help me with the special needs kids, etc. But you know what? I'm just going to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Tell them straight, tell them black and white, and just let them know my expectations.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the best thing was to actually explain to them what I'm trying to achieve, what their behavior is doing, and to actually cut it out. And most of the time it worked for me. I'd have to say I was lucky with that.
Yeah. And look, you highlighted a really good thing about you have to address in those situations the small things, because I've seen it in two scenarios with students. It's firstly, if it's a student that, you have been having a bit of a clash with the teacher, it's, why are you picking on me? I hardly did anything wrong. Why are you calling me out on this? And then usually their second comment is, well, so-and-so is also doing it, a similar behavior, and letting them get away with it. Well, it's because of exactly what you said. It's not necessarily that you're doing it. It's because of your pre-existing relationship. You know where it's going to lead to, And so, you do have to address it really quickly. Just on the student side, don't take it personally. Your teacher's trying to get on top of it before further trouble brews, because, it will disrupt the class as a whole. And so getting it when it's at this end is the smartest thing your teacher can be doing for the sake of the whole class and for your sake. So you don't get to that level where you're doing worse things and then you're going to get into bigger trouble. So, that's a great point you pointed out there.
And with teachers, if you are struggling maintaining a classroom, find a teacher that does maintain a classroom and just ask them for points and tips. It could be that one or two things and you'll be right.
Yeah.
You'll be sweet. You'll be surprised how quickly kids can change.
Yeah.
Simple things like lining them up outside, 2 lines, nice and quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. They're walking in, they're disruptive, line them up again. So get those 2 quiet lines at the beginning, walking in, they stand behind their desks. I realized that, okay, if they pull their chairs out, they sit down, they unpack their bags, it gets very disruptive. So I make them stand behind their chairs quietly. I mark the roll. We go to a Christian school. I do a prayer. Or if you don't go to a Christian school, you can do some sort of simple meditation that can come across, find something that comes across all cultures, and then get them to quietly sit down. I mean, even lining them up outside 2 lines, you can see who the disruptive ones are straight away. And you can almost single them out. As they walk in, here, come with me. As the class is walking in, you can have a quiet chat to them. So even that quiet chat centers them and just get them to sit next to you. And I find that all the time works really well. If they're disruptive outside here, sit next to me. Oh, why am I sitting here? Maybe I like you. Maybe you're my favorite.
I just want to be close to you for some reason.
Yeah, we can get to know each other.
Yeah.
You don't want to be my favorite in the classroom.
No way.
Maybe we can hang out at recess.
Yeah, those little things, but they make a difference.
Absolutely.
You focus on the little things and they'll make a difference there.
So as a parent as well, when your son comes back home, this teacher's always picking on me.
Yeah.
Now, your son or daughter may explain to you their version of a scenario.
A version.
Yeah, a version, but you don't see the big picture of the teacher in the classroom.
Yeah.
So as a parent, just be careful just coming down to the school, ready to protect your child from a teacher that's supposedly picking on them. I'm not saying the teacher maybe won't be picking on them. There could be a character clash. That teacher could be going through things in their personal life that may reflect back on into the classroom. Because remember, teachers, we are human.
Yes.
It's not going to be perfect, where the slightest of mistake, you've got parents coming screaming down and wanting your head off.
Yeah.
It's almost like anything we do slightly wrong gets amplified. See, I told you.
Yeah. And then they've got to understand that too, even at its most basic level. You got to understand the teacher's job is to teach the class. So that's what their goal is. They're trying to do that. And also you got to understand who else is in that class. Like you said, you can get classes as a teacher sometimes, and it is a bottom maths class or English class where students aren't as motivated in that subject. And you really got to steer that ship as the teacher. And it is a challenge, the behavioral side. And you do have to really hammer the students and, to get the class ready to learn and be focused in that environment. Okay, so just have those things in mind before you do battle the school. But what I'd also say too, that situation in itself, that's a nightmare scenario for parents. When you do get phone calls from school, and then you do get worried, is there something wrong with my child? Is there an issue? Is my child being picked on? So they are nightmare scenarios too. And I think the key in that situation would be communication, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But I would still, as a parent, I'd give that advice to my child.
Yeah.
You're getting in trouble. deflect it. Don't be the one. Let your friend get in trouble.
Yeah.
Go quiet. Just stay quiet for the first 5 minutes. Teacher will draw onto someone else's attention.
Yeah.
So that could be a starting point with, especially a child that's constantly getting in trouble, especially if it's across the board.
Yeah, if it's in more than one class.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then there's another scenario where the child, it's an academic child, you respect English, you respect maths, you respect science, and you absolutely make the art teacher's life hell.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said art teacher, not sport teacher.
Sport teachers can make your life hell, make you run around
They
the
can
oval.
get you back.
Yeah. Make a sport teacher's life hell. You're doing laps around the oval.
Yeah.
And usually students, they most likely enjoy sport. Ones that don't enjoy sport, I think sports teachers are more inclined to, okay, you can sit this one out, or they get a note from their parents. Kids that don't enjoy sport usually don't make any trouble.
Yeah.
They sit it out. Kids that do enjoy sport, well, they don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the one sitting in trouble out on the oval when all your other friends are having fun. But usually art or music would be where I've noticed, I've worked at 2 schools now where, if they're good kids in other classrooms, comes to art or music, well, you can misbehave now. It's not important.
Yeah.
And well, that leads to what kind of a character are you developing in your child?
Yeah, exactly. Being
To be
aware of
careful
that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know with my children, I do not tolerate that.
Yeah.
Now, you may not be a great musician. There's a certain amount of homework the teacher asks you to get done. Well, get it done. It's a responsibility. So just be, as a parent, you're developing your child's character. So if you're allowing them to misbehave in one subject and telling them, well, it's not art, it's not important, go kill that
Yeah,
teacher's
you're setting
life.
that tone right there, aren't you?
Well, that teacher's got other teachers that are friends, and that could impact maybe in a negative way on your child as well.
Yeah, if they get that reputation there. I was actually going to say to you, like going back to when I started year 7, the toughest teacher at the school was the PDHPE teacher. Like,
really?
They were brutal. They were a former coach for the Dragons, and they worked with the Army. So they were brutal. And even
Taskmaster.
people before me, 20 years before me at that same school, all know the teacher that I'm talking about. And he was probably even more brutal to their generation, more so than mine, Being able to hit kids was gone by then, by the time I got to year 7. But yeah, so it was a tough era there. So yeah, PDHB teachers, mate, they can be tough. Obviously they're not all, physically abusive like back in the past. But yeah, they can get you with the push-ups, doing the running the laps and all that, and the teachers there. But yeah, you got to teach all your teachers, treat all your teachers with respect along those lines. I wanted to bring up the next nightmare scenario I've got for students. And I think this is as a parent too of young kids as well. I know this is a nightmare scenario for them as well. An assessment task that is due the next day.
Ooh.
What do you do?
Make them do it all night and learn never to do it again.
That's right. University logic A. Pull out the all-nighter.
Yes. No, I had one art assignment in high school that I loved art, but I had a lot of other assignments to do, so I did all the others to save the best till last.
Yeah.
And then I stayed up until 2 a.m., which when you're in year 10 is very late.
Yes.
And kind of learnt from that not to do it again.
You can't do it with a practical subject either, can you?
No, I was trying to fix that VAPD very late at night and then going, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn fast.
Yeah.
Especially if you care.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've noticed with students. If the student cares what the teacher thinks, or the student, it hurts when they get a bad result, that's the best indicator that a student will perform academically.
Yeah.
And I've seen it across 2 schools now. Student gets their results back, no matter what the subject, brushes it, doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't even care. Even if they passed or got a good mark, may not be interested, something's happened, they don't particularly care about the subject or academically. They could get a very low mark, but it hurts. It really hurts. And they're stressed out with it, and which is good. Stress creates a response that you need to change. You don't want to go through that again.
I think the important thing for enacting that change is having the right moment to reflect. Not when you're trying to do the assignment, telling your child more than once at 10:30 at night, well, you left it too late. Because after the 3rd time you say that, it just doesn't go anywhere. It makes the child feel even worse if they're very empathetic. But maybe when they get that mark back, having that chat with them of, do you want this to be your normal? How can we change this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was a bit cruel to my daughter with that. She had an assignment. She's doing well academically, but she left at the last minute. She came in. Oh my God, I'm doomed. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. You got once again going back to your first point of what we spoke about. You got to cop it,
Yeah,
absolutely.
You push it and cop it,
and don't, as a parent, don't cover for them.
Yeah.
No.
Do not cover for them at all. They haven't done their assignment. They take it on the chin.
Yeah.
As soon as you start making excuses for your child, that's an avalanche of excuses later.
Yeah.
And it's something that you just don't want to get into. Student hasn't done their assignment. It's not done. That's it. And I think first week at the school, I thought, man, I'm out of here. It looks like I'm going to get fired within 2 weeks. And I think I made the head teacher panic a little bit as well. Year 7 class, I'd give him the work on a Monday. I don't particularly check it on a Tuesday, but the homework's given on a Monday. They have a chance to do it, ask on Tuesday. Then we work the work through Tuesday, we go through Wednesday, and I don't check the homework every day, but I give the homework over a week so you can structure your time. You've got the weekend to go through it and then show me on Monday. I had 7 handwritten letters from parent why their child in year 7 couldn't do their homework.
Yeah.
And it was the first time at a school. I read them, I barely read them, stuck them on the table and went, what is this? I don't understand. Someone explain to me why your parents are handwriting notes. Did you explain to your parents properly how this works? Or did you tell your parents, this is the work Sir gave on a Friday, it's due on Monday?
Yeah.
I scrunched them all up and binned them.
That sounds like a nightmare situation.
Oh, mate, nightmare situation.
For a New Year 7
Nightmare
student.
situation for my head teacher. They went, Rob, what'd you do? Yeah, this is what happened. I'm just saying it casually in the class. Yeah, they brought these notes. I scrunched them and bid them. She went, oh my God, Robert, what'd you do? I threw them in the bin.
Then it became your nightmare.
Kate. And then Kate went, no, it was her nightmare because she went, here come the emails. You do not scrunch a parent's notes and throw it in the bin.
And who got the emails, you or your coordinator?
Actually, they were too scared. No one complained that. No. Because the students knew that if the parent was to complain, I would sit the parent down and actually tell them exactly how it works. We give the homework on a Monday, please check your student, give it on a Tuesday, etc., etc. So then I could work with the parent. And there was a scenario as well. This is my first year teaching, mind you.
Yeah.
I've had all this experience outside where it was quite an academic mum.
Yeah.
She was an associate professor, etc., etc., etc. And she was worried that I wasn't covering the content, that her son wouldn't be ready for the exam, and was questioning my teaching. And instead of getting into an email exchange, I went, you know what? I need to call this person. May I call you? No problem. And when I spoke with the parent, I outlined what I do. So here are my notes on a Monday. Your child brings them home. These are the examples your child gets. These are the questions that follow. Can you just follow it through with them and make sure those questions are done? Can you do half an hour with them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Give me another hour on Saturday. Give me another hour on Sunday. And as I spoke, I think the mum understood. She understood that I'm actually putting an effort in. I want you to work with me, not against me. And to her credit, the kid came first at the end of the year.
It paid off.
And then when we had the parent-teacher interview at the end of the year, I congratulated her on actually doing a great job.
Nice.
Because you know what? If I could get this mark across all the other students, I would, but I can't. So it was her effort that actually got the child the mark. Whereas that email came across quite alarming. But I found a verbal communication where the person hears you, even on Zoom, where they see your face, they see that, okay, we're going to work together for the benefit of this child to educate them.
Yeah.
And that worked really well. Whereas another scenario I had was another child where they complained that they bypassed me and complained to the assistant principal about this time it wasn't working fast enough.
Yeah.
And I went, yep, no problem. Now, when the complaint came back to me, I went, well, they're complaining to the assistant principal. I don't think they wanted to complain to me. And I went, oh, can you please give them a call? So I gave him a phone call, spoke nicely with the mum, and we were getting across well. Then the dad came along, quite rude and aggressive.
Yeah.
And I just went, I went quiet. I let them speak. They finished what they were saying. And I went, oh, look, we're almost at the end of this. I think we're going to work together quite well now. And he went, well, the only reason you're calling me is because we complained to the assistant principal. Otherwise, you wouldn't have picked up the phone.
Yeah.
And I maybe I stood my ground too much. I literally said to the man, I said to him, look, you have a right to feel that. Feel free to pick up the phone and make another complaint to the assistant principal. I think I've finished the conversation with your wife. She can explain to you what went on. But feel free to ring the assistant principal anytime.
Don't mess with the Namoski, mate.
No, but it was the truth. I focused on what they were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, and the other parent comes along wanting to tell you off, to put you in your place. Yeah. I had to really gulp it down because in my other jobs, you just don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Right? No. I can come down on you like a tidal wave. But here, it was almost a question of really listen to what they're saying and shut it down immediately.
Wow.
Absolutely shut it down immediately. When you see the person's getting aggressive at you, all they want to do is put you in your place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just shut it down. You shut it down and feel free to call higher up. There's no point in furthering any more communication.
Yeah.
Something to be careful of as adults, as teachers, not to over communicate and get emotionally involved.
Yeah.
I think that's very valuable in all facets of life.
Oh, absolutely.
And in many workplaces.
Oh, absolutely. I had another scenario where an actual teacher that trains with me turned around and said, well, he was the coordinator. He was the coordinator, and his coordinator above, this coordinator 1, coordinator 2, reprimanded him for being too friendly with the teachers.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously?
Yeah. And this guy is quite, he can stand up for himself really well, and he just shut it down in a second. I'm just not going to talk to you about that anymore. I don't want you to talk to me anymore.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there, it is work scenario. There are situations where things can get out of hand, even at work. And usually, if you do feel it's getting there, just shut it down.
Yeah.
Just shut it down immediately. Do not further communicate, and then see how it goes. And I tell you what, my first year at teaching, I had a scenario where we had the second bottom year 7 maths class, and the teacher that was helping me didn't like the way one of my classes went.
Yeah.
And she's meant to assist me. She's the special needs teacher. The class finished, and she had a go at me. Oh, this didn't go well. That didn't go. He didn't control the class, etc. No, but I went, you know what?
Yeah.
It's an opinion. You listen.
Yeah.
Which was, okay, you know what? It's quietly done, privately. It's not publicly. This teacher's very experienced. She'd be probably a little bit older than me. I went, you know what? Just listen to what she has to say.
Yeah.
Like, really listen. There could be something of truth in there. And technically there was, I didn't express to her, look, I wasn't feeling well at that time. I took some aspirins and Panadols, etc., to come into the class, etc. If I explained that to her at the beginning, it would have been a different scenario. And okay, it ended there. Great. It didn't end there. What really annoyed me was my head teacher then came back to me about the scenario.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that really annoyed the crap out of me. So I went, okay, do I tear into her?
Yeah.
Like really tear into her next time? Because I am the boss. I'm in charge of the classroom.
Yeah.
You're here to help me. Let's make that clear. You know what? Just watch her for a week. And I watched her behavior with the other teachers for a week. Watched her inside the classroom. This is a pretty good teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is someone
They're
that,
all right.
yeah, more than all right, man.
Yeah.
I gotta sometimes find a way to work with them. And by the end of the year, I missed her.
Yeah.
we had that class that we had together.
Yeah.
And then next year came along, and we were so great term 4, We ended and we go, man, I'm gonna miss you next year.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to get through the nightmare together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's a nightmare for a reason, for a lack of communication, I believe. And in my experience of dealing with things outside, it's that what did you miss in your communication
Yeah.
that you didn't inform the person that led to this? So in my case, thinking back was, okay, I did not tell her that, okay, I'm not quite 100% here.
Yeah.
And the classroom did get out of hand. So I didn't have my presence that I usually have. So, but we kind of fixed it with her. But there are situations where you may not be able to fix.
Yeah.
Remember, I had another teacher, and this guy was weird. Like, I mean, weird in a weird way.
Yeah.
Where you say hello to him and just ignores you.
Oh, look.
It's a strange cat. We're walking past. Hi. Just straight ahead. Didn't even say, I mean, wow, was it me? Okay. Next time we're walking past. Hi. Okay, it's not, man, what, did I do something to this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, he was quite younger as well.
Yeah.
So then next time I just sternly just looked him in the eyes and just walked past him, like without even blinking.
Yeah.
And I felt him shudder a bit.
Yeah.
He didn't get the hi anymore, but I am standing my ground now. Like, I mean, I'm not being rude, but you're not saying hello twice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this is pretty much going to be, this is the scenario you want. Well, this is it. So there is a certain point where you do need to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, of course.
So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Do not let things escalate more than they should.
Yeah.
And sometimes do reflect back on your own actions, especially you are the professional dealing with teachers, other teachers, dealing with students, dealing with higher management as well. Sometimes higher management may not see things the way you saw them. They're not there in the classroom with you. Their version of a story could be different. And it's good to actually quietly hear them out.
Yeah.
If you do get emotionally embedded into the story, things can really escalate.
Yeah.
Have you seen situations like that where?
Oh, of course. And you've really got to think who you're talking to there, And it's funny because you've had a few good points across the different topics there too. First point I'm taking down, always say hello to Rob if you're walking past him. Okay. You don't want trouble, make sure you say hello. Okay.
Especially.
Yeah, exactly. Armed and dangerous in Terminator mode. But I like what you said actually in the first story too, because you actually highlighted the triangle, of success, that the teacher, the student, and the parents working together, and you pointed out that when that happens, and especially when responding to an awkward situation, a tough situation, success will happen. But then in the second story you told too, someone just wanted to, have a go at you. They didn't have faith in what you were saying, you had to be put in your place, and then the same success didn't happen, did it?
No, because there's a difference of someone wanting to tell you off.
Yeah.
There's a difference of, okay, let's resolve this.
Yeah.
Let's help the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you are human. You're not there to be told off.
No.
And especially as a teacher in the classroom, they can complain to higher management.
Yeah.
That is their job. And they're used to that. I'm sure if you ask an assistant principal, he can give you a list of 15 complaints that he puts people in.
Yeah, exactly.
That he deals with every month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see it's not coming across, man, send it up to higher management.
Yeah.
Like I used to say, too high up my pay grade.
Yeah, that's it. And look, as a parent in a family, you should use the hierarchy. Okay, you should use the hierarchy if you feel like something's not going on there. But as said, constructive, wanting to work together, being optimistic about a positive outcome, not just get someone in trouble. You've had enough of them. There's a personality clash, because there's always more to the story.
Yep, exactly. Send them up to higher management as early as possible, not when things emotionally get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know looking at higher management, soon as you emotionally get involved, it makes their job so much harder.
Yeah.
And you don't want to make their job any harder. You just want to get to the problem quickly. And if you can't resolve the problem, quickly send it up.
Yeah.
This is what I found worked for me at the two schools I'm at.
But it's obviously a professional opinion that you're giving there too. It's not even just in teaching. You do have to kind of remove your emotion from a situation and try to think logically and pragmatic about what's actually going on, what outcome do we want to achieve, regardless of how your emotions are feeling in that moment or how they've been brewing.
And as a teacher, sometimes, take it on the chin.
Yeah.
We had a scenario now recently where kids were playing soccer and we were watching them, but we let them play on a big field. These kids are playing soccer for sport, these kids are playing touch footy for sport, and we're just watching them. Now, soccer, you shove, you push, you grab, you may say things to each other. We can't tell. We can't tell verbally what's going on. Apparently, 2 kids really got into an altercation.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't so much of a physical altercation. It was a shove, a push, a shirt got torn, etc., etc. And then they came to us. Oh, sir, such and such a things are happening.
Yeah.
Now, we did not physically see an altercation. A kid tripped off the ball, got up, etc., etc. Kid's shirt was torn, parent was distressed, came to the school, and it blew up as if it was a physical fight.
Yeah.
Now, when the teacher for well-being came up to me and the teacher that was supervising, I went, like, we got the teachers, we got the student, all the students to write what had happened. And one of the students put in there that, okay, the teachers were far away, they weren't supervising.
Oh my gosh.
And I was a little bit older than the other teacher. And I went, that's correct. Why? Yep. We were too far away.
Yeah.
We let them play on a big field. It will not happen again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And they say next time when we play sport, it's my job to supervise you. We're going to restrict that field. We're going to put smaller goals in. This is what it takes for us to supervise. So
make the situation more manageable.
More manageable.
Yeah.
So sometimes admitting fault, saying, you know what, that's correct. They were too far away.
Yeah.
We do let them play on a bigger field. You express why you do that, and you express, okay, great. And I told I told the lady in charge that, you know what, it's fine. It won't happen again. Leave it to me. And she realized that, okay, that scenario is dealt with for her with the teachers. Now, I know, don't make her job any harder. She needs to deal with the parents now.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of, especially dealing with higher management, you resolve it straight away with higher management and then let them deal, the year coordinator needs to deal with the parents now. Your job has ended, even if it means admitting that little bit of a responsibility for it, and then adjusting your behavior later so it doesn't happen again. And then they need to, smooth it over with the parents and let them know what happens. So it's a question of, okay, what have I done? Okay, great. It won't happen again. And then you can really, in our case, we're going to bring the goals a lot tighter. We're going to make the game, where we can actually watch and supervise. The students are not going to like it. But I'm sorry, you're just not mature enough. We tried it. We made a mistake. It was our fault.
Yeah.
But it's not happening again now.
Yeah. Even us as teachers, sometimes we've got to take it on the chin, but then we've got to adapt so it doesn't happen again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. As I highly recommend that, not just for teacher, for anywhere else. See what you have done.
Yeah.
Now, if you turn out to higher management and go, you know what? You're right. I will do this differently. To higher management, that problem's solved.
Yeah.
That problem is solved. You don't want to bring conflict back up at them.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the last thing. They've got so much on their plate. They're dealing with what has happened in that scenario. They're dealing with the backlash of everything else. You can see if there is something that you have done. If you haven't done anything and you're pretty clear on your statement, then you're clear on your statement.
Yeah.
Like you sometimes, people can be malicious.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching that TV report where it got so bad where parents were criticizing a principal on social media, slandering him, ended up with a 5-year court case for defamation in northern Queensland.
Yep.
I mean, northern Brisbane, But when they were interviewing the parents, like this parent's quite vicious.
Yeah.
Like even in his interview, he sits there at the principal's office and he's proudly saying this, going, I put them in their place.
Yeah.
And they asked him, how'd you put them in their place? Well, I told the assistant principal to look out the window. I want to talk to the head, not the ass.
Oh my gosh. Make any sense of that.
Sorry. I want to talk to
Sound
the head,
effects.
not there behind, So straight away you realize, okay, this person is vicious.
Yeah.
There is no communication. Now can you please leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and sometimes as a teacher, you just reach that point where, okay, communication is broken.
Yeah.
We're not getting anywhere here. You need to shut it down immediately. Send it higher up the food chain.
Yeah.
You have to.
Let them handle it
And
that way.
Again, a good life lesson for a lot of things is focus on process and outcomes, not personalities. because you can't always solve for personalities, and sometimes personalities are the problem. Like you were saying, you had some clashes with your teachers. I had a few teachers in high school that I still don't care for their personality.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you would have got along with everyone, Kate.
No, I got along with 99% of my teachers.
Yeah.
There's a few that I would not say hello to in the corridor.
Wow.
But yeah, focus on, particularly if you're a parent with something to discuss with the school, process and outcome, not raking the parent, telling the teacher off to get back at them, because you might feel like wanting that, but it's not the best outcome.
Oh, it's almost like sometimes I've seen it's a sense of accomplishment. I took down the system by taking down the teacher.
Yeah.
It's not a place you want to be.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be labelled that parent.
No.
Yeah.
Straight away, teachers do talk and they go, such and such. Yeah, that's that parent.
It also becomes a bit obvious when it's the parent's own life lessons coming through rather than the student's experience.
Their kind of background and they're kind of bringing it to their student situation 100%. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I've seen it in the tuition centre where parent complains, and ask them the one thing. Okay, how often do you complain at the school?
Yeah.
And the conversation gets very quiet.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, this has been the 6th time.
Yeah.
And I am trying to listen to your story, but how often do you complain at the school? And in the tuition center, it's quite easy because they get frustrated and then they leave.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, thank God.
See you later.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
But at the school, you're stuck with them.
Yeah. And you don't want it to become a habit.
It does nothing for your child.
Yeah.
Now, you may think you've told the teacher off, and higher management does let you tell them off. That's the thing I've noticed. They will take it on the chin for the school, but at the end of the day, nothing productive has happened, and it could be even slightly detrimental to your child.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that child with the difficult parent.
No way. No, because once again, it brings the attention back to a previous point we said, and nobody wants it.
Oh, absolutely. And then your child feels empowered that no matter what I do, my dad and mum are just going to come and scream the place down.
And then they don't know what they've created then, because they've got that even after high school with their child.
Then you can complain to the magistrate how you don't know how your child got here.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, that can be a scenario as well.
God. Look, I'm now going to change the tone a bit, and I'm actually going to reflect on as well. One of the nightmare scenarios that I always hated, and actually did happen a few times at school, and I wonder if you guys are ever in this situation too, having to use the school toilets to do a number 2.
Oh.
I reckon that's pretty high up on the nightmare scenarios at school. I don't know. For myself, I don't know if you've ever been, obviously, all boys school, all boys toilets. You do not want your pants touching the floor. Okay, it's just disgusting. I don't know. Were you guys ever in this situation?
Oh, toilet paper, do the whole thing, cover it nicely.
Oh.
Lock the door.
You didn't have a lesser used bathroom to have the...
No
toilet
way.
block?
No, it was the one toilet for all the boys in the school.
Basically, I would bring a toilet paper roll to school.
Oh, that's
Right.
there you go.
Yeah,
at Hurstville Boys, I wouldn't tell anyone I'd have a toilet paper roll to school.
Who says we don't give good advice? That is amazing.
That's a good one.
Nobody knew I had it.
Yeah.
I'd go to the toilet, to a door that locks,
Yeah.
line it up with toilet paper,
Yeah.
do your natural business, flush everything down, wash your hands well, you're sweet.
So even in that situation, you've actually got quality toilet paper too.
Absolutely.
Minimizing your time in the bathroom.
Not just the one ply.
No, double.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, go. If you're going to do it, you're going to be the double
bring your own
ply.
toilet paper to school. You're at an all-boys school. You're at a public school.
Okay.
Find a door that locks. Bring your own toilet paper because toilet paper is always gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Sometimes that's the bit where you're lucky if there is toilet paper.
I knew from year 7, I had that scenario ready in my bag.
Yeah.
Nobody saw, nobody knew to this day. First time I've admitted it.
Far out.
because I didn't want anyone borrowing it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, so you've got to keep it secret.
Secret.
For girls, always carry a few extra tampons and pads in your bag. You don't have to tell your friends whether the girl code is. You share it if you get asked.
Yeah.
But yeah, always keep a few extras.
There's a lot more nightmare issues for young females than there is for males, is it? Like, we're just thinking 1s and 2s.
No.
You got 3s and 4s that you got to worry about, don't you?
Yeah, it appears like a curse when you don't know it's there.
Oh, no.
You get paranoid of it getting all over your uniform. Heaven forbid you have sport day that
Yeah.
day. But again, went to a girls' school for 7 to 10. Everyone feels like that.
Yeah.
And I think now it's a lot more talked about. When I went, there was still a lot of period shame.
Yeah.
So
Now I get, sir, I need to go toilet. Go.
Yeah.
There's that tone. Female asks me, sir, yeah, I need to go toilet. Go.
Yeah.
just go.
Well, look, there are
don't-
nightmare scenarios on the teacher's side where, where it can be a young male or female student is asked to go to the toilet. They say no, then it happens in the class.
Oh.
So in most cases as a teacher, you say yes, okay? Even if you don't trust the student, let them go, do the formalities, sign the diary and that, because it then become a nightmare in the classroom.
That brings the smell back from this.
Yeah, back to smells in the room.
Actually, one of my classes, and I really enjoyed this class because I was like I said, a top end class. Then I had the bottom year 9 class, and we had a routine going. It was going really well. Then they had a casual teacher.
Yeah.
Casual teacher, and these boys are sharpening their knives.
Yeah.
Just ready for the kill.
Ready to test, ready to see what they can
One
do.
student puts hand up, Miss, can I go toilet? No, Miss, can I go toilet? Okay, fine. Okay, I get it. Grabs his water bottle, sprays himself.
Oh,
Miss, look what you made me do.
wow.
It was at our school. Now, they told me, I disciplined him. I turned around. It was hard to keep a straight face as I was walking to the board. I did not show them.
Did the teacher know by the end of the period that it was a setup, or they thought it was real?
I didn't want to know further information about that.
So they think it happened for real?
I didn't want to get into that.
Oh, my God.
So boys can be cheeky.
Yes, they can.
You got to be careful. There are scenarios where they may be playing on you,
Yeah.
especially if you're a casual teacher.
My God. Look,
And he actually told me.
yeah. Oh.
They told me first thing when they walked into class.
they were
what they
proud.
did.
They would be
Weren't
proud
they?
as. Yeah, so
No, I was pretty,
Yeah.
hey, do I have to? I disciplined him. I turned around to him and I sat down. I have to fill in paperwork now because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know that, but 3 o'clock now I've got to sit down and do paperwork. What if he comes back at me?
Yeah.
What kind of a class?
Imagine the phone call connected to that, eh?
Yeah,
Ringing the parent.
Yeah, and the kid felt bad, but as a teacher, you can't find things like that funny.
No, yeah. You got to keep
Not
a straight
in the
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go home or you go to the staff room and then you let it out.
Then you let
Yeah, that's right. Yourself, any scenarios like that?
Yeah.
Oh, look, in the class, like I said, I'm usually happy to let them go. I'm impressed with that advice. They better go on the episode's notes. Okay, bring your own toilet paper to school.
Own toilet paper.
Okay, but like I said, in my own experience as a student, yep, had to use the bathroom. It was disgusting. Like my pants never smelt the same again going back to the room. Like people probably think I did do it to myself. That's how bad the floors were in the all boys bathroom. So yeah, it did not end well for me. I wish you were there for me to have that toilet paper
Mate,
on.
I would lift all lids and put the toilet paper on the basin.
Yeah.
Do not touch the lid. It's one of those scenarios you don't want to get into.
Yeah.
You know?
The final nightmare scenario, I will say, okay, for a student, before we jump over a bit more to teachers, is when your parent starts working at the school. I've heard of a few situations like this.
I'm in that situation now.
I thought, that might be something that's very relevant right now, Rob. How would your daughter be feeling at the moment?
Well, I was working at the school we were at and I was very happy there and wasn't thinking of leaving. And an opportunity arose where the head of the school sent me a text message, can we have a chat? And I knew what the chat would be about. I know the teacher shortage. I know I'm proficient in extension too. There's no other reason he's having a chat to me.
Yeah.
So I sat down with my daughter and went, okay, what are we doing? How are we going to do this? So I communicated with her.
Yeah.
I go, are you totally against this? And she went, no. Okay. It wasn't her choice to make, but it's nice to get that communication from her. Of course. Give her that maturity. And her point was, as long as you don't come to camp.
So there are
that was the
boundaries.
boundary.
Yeah, so I expressed that to the head of college. may not work out for her, but we'll see. It's not my choice to make. It's his at the end of the day.
Of course.
And I got onto the maths class where she was in the class as well.
Yeah.
And they removed her to the other class. But the teacher introducing me did embarrass her a little bit.
Yeah.
Aw.
So, I think the scenario went, oh, well, this is your dad working here.
Yeah.
And he went, yep, you're not getting a boyfriend in high school. So she kind of changed about 3-4 different colors.
Yeah.
Poor thing. But what I do as a teacher, I do enjoy my communication with her.
Yeah.
And there is that certain scenario where if she is with her friends, I let her go with her friends.
Yeah.
But it's nice. For me, it was the one reason to start working there, so I can have that, those memories with my daughter. She gets an award, she gets the award, I get to see it.
Yeah.
If there's anything that, when my son comes up or my daughter comes up, if there's any issues, I can get to know the teachers and deal with them. So it was a contributing factor for me to actually come to the school because my daughter is there. And that was one of the big reasons that I did change schools. Otherwise, the school I was at, as it's
We loved
fantastic.
having him.
and they'll take me back in a heartbeat straight away. So I did see the advantage of that, but I do have to give her privacy and her space.
Yeah.
So it's that question of, obviously there's a conflict of interest. I do not mark their papers, set the exams, etc., and we've outlined that. But so far, in my case, it's been a positive experience, and I did want to give it a go. For that reason, creating those memories with
your daughter and the rest of your children as they get there,
and my sons when they come up.
It is a very common scenario, and while for young people it can be very awkward at first too, because I've even heard of situations where the parent just started working at the canteen or as an LSO supporting at the school too, not always a teacher. That their friends are always like, oh hi, so and so's dad, and that becomes their name too, and once again drawing that attention to them too and all that. But in most scenarios where I've seen it happen, and I may very well be in that situation too in a few years' time as well, it's always more positive than negative. You are there to keep an eye on your child and see those great milestone events and be involved. So it always does end up being more of a positive, but in those hectic teenage, run the thick of puberty years, maybe it can be a bit of a nightmare for the young people.
Well, that's a podcast topic in a few years.
Yeah, that's right. We'll revisit.
We'll revisit. So
maybe on Halloween again.
Do a sequel.
Yeah, sequel.
That is something I'll need to address.
Yeah.
But then the head of college, in this case, there's a principal that runs the both primary and high school campus. There's a principal, and there's a head of college that runs the high school campus, and there's a head of college that runs the primary school campus.
Yeah.
The head of college's daughter is in there as well. She's been there from year 7. And he said the same thing. She knows as soon as we step into school, it's
teacher-student.
I'm teacher-student.
Not dad and daughter.
Off we go,
Yeah.
But my daughter does get some advantages. I bring her acai for lunch.
The acai.
The acai. So she was quite happy with that. So I think so far it's been a positive experience for her. But can I predict it will be? I do hope so, but it's not certain.
And look at the years ahead. They're a rocky road whether you're at the same school or not. With young people going through that age bracket. Yeah,
exactly.
But I'm judging if there's going to be issues. Being at the school, you will find out straight away.
Yeah.
It's and plus we are teachers. Even if you're not at the school, being a teacher, working with students, you do have that advantage with your kids, I believe.
Yeah. So if you're in that situation, just accept it, okay? It's going to work out for you, no matter how awkward you feel. Well, look, we'll jump over a bit to the teacher side now. And look, one of the first ones I have to say on behalf of my peers, because I know they'd all be ready to pick on me if I don't say anything, a nightmare situation for me. I'm a trained TAS teacher. I'm not actually a specialised computing teacher. I'm the broader TAS. I won't go anywhere near a bench saw. Okay, I can't stand using them. It looks just like danger to me. I don't know. I see the worst case scenarios. I watch too many horror movies, and I should mention that in a Halloween episode. That is my weakness at a school. I won't go near a bench saw, preferably not a construction or woodwork class either. Too many sharp things for my liking. So that is my nightmare scenarios. If I had a timetable and it listed me down as a woodwork teacher or anything like that, I'd be in quite a situation. So I had to become really good at computing very quick so they'd make sure they wouldn't give me those classes. That might have been the motivator, I
You didn't
think.
want
a good thing.
any thumbs going missing?
Nah. The worst thing I've ever happened, and look, accidents do happen all the time in these classes, is the worst is a chisel into the hand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I have had a student hit their hand with a chisel. That's probably the worst case scenarios. They see the woodwork room and you can see all the dangers around, but they don't get it with the food tech room, the amount of dangers in there. Yes, there are sharp knives and they can identify that, but they're dealing with gas and fire, and there's been situations happening in school, students catching on fire and burns happening, hot oil. So just the danger of those environments too. And you can tell why people don't want to become tech teachers. So many hazards. I don't know. What do you think, Kate?
Well, I had the glory. I was very good at textiles in high school, and I actually sewed my finger.
Ooh, what too?
From the sewing machine.
Oh my God. What were you actually sewing?
pieced-
I
pieced
was
your
sewing.
finger? Or?
So I've been sewing since I was 4, so I know my way around
Skilled
a sewing
sewer.
machine. Yes, very skilled. Not to toot my own horn. But I was doing the stupid thing of I was sewing some very slippery silk satin fabric. I hadn't pinned the whole thing. I was sewing very fast because it was a very long straight seam. It was a skirt. And I was overly confident with the machine.
Yeah.
And the tip to sewing is you don't actually look where the needle is, you look in front of the needle.
Oh, okay.
And so I was looking even earlier than you should have been because I was lining my thing up to sew the straight line.
Yeah.
And didn't realise my finger had gone where the needle was.
Whoa.
How much pain were you in?
It was more shock.
Yeah?
Honestly, it wasn't that painful. It was,
It's past the point of pain is shock.
yeah.
Skip the stage completely.
It was this very weird, good for Halloween, body dysmorphia,
Yeah.
body horror of looking at my finger and going, that metal should not be through that
And it was
side
and
and
it was
out the other
yes,
side.
so it was a complete piercing, like right
Yes,
through.
Yeah, but it didn't go through the bone. Apparently that hurts a lot more.
Yeah.
But it was right on, I looked at the x-ray, the bone made it break off into 2 parts.
Any cool scarring?
No, sadly, not even a pinprick anymore.
Oh,
my
spewing.
God.
Yeah.
That would have been a good story.
Yeah, but I don't think my teacher was very impressed.
Oh, of course, especially the star student too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Imagine the paperwork.
But yes, exactly. But the plus side was I was very happy I didn't get any blood on the silk satin.
Oh, good.
That's important.
Yes, I finished it, and I got very good marks for it as well.
Oh, good. So you came to perseverance. Oh,
Perseverance. See,
Yeah.
blood, sweat, and tears, literally.
Literally.
I tell you, look, any tech teacher, they've all got stories like
you
that.
have
Just
to.
things happen, students, you got to be careful, okay?
Yeah.
Any area of tech, textiles, food, woodworking, computing,
No matter
electrical,
your skill.
yeah, no matter your skill.
don't
Well, yours was a
overestimate
state of
yourself.
overconfidence,
Yeah,
hey?
I was overconfident. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when things happen. I don't know, Rob. What about your end? What's the nightmare situation for you on the teacher's side?
The school we worked at, we went to lunch. So we went to breakfast with the maths department.
Yeah.
And I've got a celiac disease. So I ordered gluten-free bread. They put the gluten-free bread in a toaster. Came out. I didn't realise. Had a great time. No worries. As we're coming back, yep, I've got to get the roll call. The bell goes for roll call.
Yeah.
As I'm walking to the roll call room, I go to the toilet and I perform an exorcism.
Oh,
Literally into the toilet,
Yeah.
steering that porcelain bus. 3 other teachers are watching me
Oh my gosh, Rob.
over the top. And one of them went, "Oh boy, you're not in a good way."
And then exited. What did they do?
Not in a good way at all. Okay, called my wife on the phone, come and pick me up.
Yeah, you're done.
Now she's walking around the school. No one recognises her except Miss Nick, the English teacher. So he went around
good
to
friend.
find her. So this is how I introduced my wife to the school.
Oh, that's it. Oh,
So
no.
it was, and it was on Marcel and Champagne Day. It was so everything really lined up. Everything
It was on the
really,
feast day of our school, yeah.
everything really lined up against me. So I got to introduce my wife to the maths department with my child as I'm literally delirious as I'm walking out.
Bro.
And she's looking at me going, "You couldn't even handle 1 year without this happening." Yeah, that was quite an embarrassing moment.
Oh, God. And especially too, where it would have been early on with you at the school too.
About 4 months in.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
So that was quite a scenario, but I was quite lucky.
Yeah.
The maths department are phenomenal at covering up.
Yeah, they do a good cover up, eh?
Mate, next level, I have to admit.
Oh my gosh.
They could hide a body.
School names.
Oh, sorry. They could literally, these people could literally hide a body.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know. You know? And that was, the other scenario was, actually this was, I felt sick for 2 weeks. I felt sick with gastro, came back to class, caught a virus, took another week off, and okay, now I'm focusing on getting my classes back. So I got my Year 12 classes back on track. Okay, good. Got my Year 10 classes back on track. No problem. Did not communicate to anyone that my Year 7 class wasn't back on track.
Yeah.
But I laid the outcome for the Year 7 class to be back on track. I'll get all these days done. No problem in my mind. Little did I know that they were taken off 2 days for some sort of vaccination.
Oh.
Then they were off to camp. Then something else happened.
You lost a week just like that, eh?
Just gone.
Which happens.
I did not communicate that to the maths department.
Yeah.
The exam came along. I did not finish everything I needed to do for the exam.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The super maths department, mop and bucket, covered it all up for me. So as a team, we got together.
The cleaners.
We worked out what we're going to do, how we're going to get this
You don't
done.
need the men in black. You just need the maths department.
That's right.
Mate, if you got a body to hide, call the maths department,
And the science department.
science department.
It's it, eh? Well, they can cover all the forensic
so-
stuff, can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just a miscommunication on my part where
Yeah.
I wasn't, and then I knew from then, okay, ask, what are we up to? What am I up to? Communicate with the other teachers, you know, with what's happening, especially in that scenario where I was sick for a few weeks and then you're coming back into play.
Yeah.
So that was probably from a teaching perspective, my worst case scenario.
Oh gosh, that's pretty tough, you know. It's funny too, as you said, you're off because one of the other things I had for teachers, and in relation to nightmare situations, getting an extra period 5 Friday. I think you're getting a class, it's not your class, it's Friday afternoon, you don't want to be there, the kids are not in the mood to learn. I think that's a nightmare situation that all teachers have gone through too. Have you ever been through that situation, Rob?
I tell the kids, line them up 2 lines, walk them in quietly.
Yeah.
Your teacher has left stuff for you on Google Classroom. Do not disturb me. I will not disturb you.
That's it.
You know? And then you know it's period 5. The teacher has laid the work. The teacher's going to check the work. Now, whether you do it now or you do it at home, have it ready for your teacher on Monday.
Yeah.
So I know period 5, you can see some are working. I can tell some are probably clicking on other things onto their computers.
Yeah.
I let them really, sometimes if it gets disruptive, I move the kids to the front and then the rest know to keep quiet.
Yeah.
I do have a walk around just to make sure what they're clicking on isn't something really inappropriate. It's usually cars, car parts. They may be playing a video game. They may be playing some chess or something, you know, where I go, okay, sometimes you got to let things slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, period 5 Friday, you've had an extra, teachers allocated work. My job was to maintain the classroom in a peaceful order, get them to do their work. Do I push them really hard to get the work done? Not particularly. Make sure that no one's doing anything really inappropriate with what they're watching, and then the lesson's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my go-to period 5 scenario.
It's funny you mentioned the push part because it actually reminded me of when I was actually doing my 3rd year prac. So I'm not a qualified teacher yet. I'm still learning the ropes and all that. And it was period 5 and it was with the year 10 class. So I'm fresh, not even properly trained yet, and my class was a bit noisy. And it's funny because the class next door was in the same subject area of computing. The teacher next door, who, this was a nightmare scenario for me as a prac teacher, comes across, tells me off for the loudness of the class because on period 5s with his year 10 class, he gives them a quiz every Friday afternoon. So he was intense. He was another story. So I think being in his class would have been a nightmare situation for students, but he was full on, and I learned more about that teacher going on too. But once again, different times back then and stuff like that. But that in itself is a nightmare situation. Period 5 quizzes for students every week, man. That's full on.
It must have worked for him because he kept them busy.
Well, he kept them busy. Yeah.
So he knows period 5, this is what works for me.
Yeah, that's it, eh? And he had the time to come across and tell me off, you know. So it's quite productive.
Being a young teacher.
Yeah. Pracky.
It tells the pracky off. Well, I actually had a scenario I was a mature pracky, so I didn't quite, I stood out.
Yeah.
So this was at another school when I was doing my second prac, where they saw me and the head teacher went, okay, I better take this guy.
Yeah.
You know, and we worked great, fantastic, you know. I ended up, you know, I told her, look, I got this, do your head teacher stuff, give me the class. And we had a great 3 weeks. But in that process, another teacher who was really grinding her pracky down came up to me and goes, well, I haven't seen you in the playground.
Oh.
Have you done playground duty? And I said to her, yes, but I haven't seen you. Well, I've done them. And it was very short sentences. And it was a question of, but I haven't seen you. I said to her, you need to check that with the head teacher.
Yeah.
And I just stared at her. And all of a sudden, she mentioned again, but I haven't seen you. And I said, repeated myself again. I think you need to check that with the head teacher.
Yeah.
I don't need to answer this to you.
Oh my gosh.
So sometimes you can get bullying.
Yeah.
But the question is, as soon as you feel it happens, short, straight sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get emotionally involved, even though I could have torn this person apart verbally.
Yeah.
Like really just crushed them, being older and more experienced.
Yeah.
But that person was testing the grounds.
Yeah.
Okay, can I really put it on you?
Yeah.
And so keeping short, sharp sentences, answering what they're asking in a very direct way, and then repeating your answer.
Yeah.
And this person really felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because he reached a point, I'm like, this, you know, I'm not going to repeat myself. The person I'm telling you to go to is your boss.
Yeah.
She's my prac supervisor. Just because you haven't seen me in the playground, it doesn't mean that I was in the playground.
Yeah.
And I actually was in the playground. She just signed it off for me. But that's not her problem.
That's another thing. But it wasn't their domain.
That's not her problem.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you will get that. Handling situations, confrontational situations, you have to learn to handle them.
Yeah, and use that recommend others use the hierarchy, you know.
Yeah, but it's not easy when someone puts it on you.
No way.
Now there are scenarios where you can just go quiet, listen more than you talk, and stare.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. Quiet, listen more than you talk, keep that firm eye contact, and maybe repeat what they're saying to you and answer them very short and very brief.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden they realize, okay, I'm not really getting the effect I want.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that sense of satisfaction where, you know, I've put it on this person now, I have that sense of feeling of, you know, I've got them to feel better about their lives. And then it will happen.
Yeah.
Like you just have to accept in life with human nature, there will come a time, could be your boss, could be a parent, could be a teacher above you, below you, could be even your pracky that you're supervising. Doesn't mean that, you know, just because you're in a position of you've made your way up the ranks, could be another teacher below you doing it to you. You know, it's just a question of being ready for it.
Yeah.
Run it in your mind, what you would say, how you would say it, and the best lesson is getting caught out.
Yeah.
So having someone make you feel that way, where you're actually feeling crushed a little bit, run that scenario back in your mind and say, you know what, there's an opportunity there for me to go, yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's another opportunity there for me to go, yeah, no. And just, you don't need to communicate, you just need to stare and let them talk.
Yeah.
And that's usually shuts a person down quite quickly.
The tips you got to know. Yeah. I wish I had your confidence when I was on that prac, you know. You know what my response was when that happened? Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I'd have rolled into a little ball probably after the class, but that confidence, Rob, man.
That confidence is with years living.
Yeah, different times of our lives.
Yeah, years living through it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you were all of what? 21, 22?
I was 19, 20, yeah.
You're not that far from being a student.
Yeah, exactly. I was closer in age to the students than I was to the other teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, and he came in and just really just screamed at you.
Oh, yeah, he did. Keep your class down. We're trying to do a quiz in this room. And I was like, yeah, he gave it to me, and my prac teacher was in with me too, like supervising and all that. But obviously, I think there was awkward relationships there too.
So maybe he's just blowing hot air, let him go.
Yeah, I think it was of his nature as well,
sometimes if a person is just frustrated, blurting things out.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to say.
Yeah.
There's a difference of someone actually mechanically putting it on you, getting a reaction out of you to be able to steer your behavior.
Yeah.
There's a difference with someone just blowing a scenario and then leaving.
Yeah. And that's it. And as a mature teacher now too, like I've been on the opposite end of that situation where young teachers or prac is having trouble in class. I don't walk in there and blast the teacher, Right. You go in there, how can I help you out? So is everything going all right in here, everyone? And you kind of come in a bit more supportive.
Absolutely. But that comes with obviously the
experience
as well.
Of course.
And not losing your cool.
Yeah.
But bullying happens everywhere.
It does.
You've got to understand that it's human. Bullying is human nature.
Yeah, it's not specific to schools, and while you're in high school either, it goes beyond. And you do have to learn those skills of confidence and communication skills to deal with it, don't you?
And boundaries.
Boundaries, setting them, establishing them.
Yep.
Definitely.
The best way to learn is to get caught out, I believe.
Yeah.
Because you can reflect back and go, you know what, I should have stopped it there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then don't feel bad about that, saying, oh, why does it happen to me?
Yeah.
It has to happen to you for you to change your behavior.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you can preemptively think, in this scenario, in that scenario, because the scenario will catch you off guard.
Yeah.
The whole point is to be caught off guard, then to realize and go, you know what? I'll be more preemptive next time.
Yeah.
So I'm ready. Instead of having that victim mentality, why is this always happening to me?
Yeah.
Because you're allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
There's a scenario where you don't say a certain thing at a certain time that needs to be said that stops that person in their tracks.
Yeah.
And that person may not be a bad person. They're just offloading on you.
Yeah.
When they shouldn't be, but they are. They're still offloading on you. And it's how you perceive it. But then on the other hand, they could be putting it on you in a way that just makes them feel better about telling someone off. And you shouldn't be that person.
Yeah. No way. No way. You get through it and, you find those more positive situations, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. 100%,
Well, look, now, once again, from the teacher side too, and you might be able to reflect on this from your time as a student too, Kate. The other thing that can trigger a punishing day is your fire drill, evacuation drill, and just try to come back. Like, what was the responses when you were at school? When that kind of thing happened, how was the response?
We had a period where we were getting quite a few bomb threats.
Oh, my God.
I remember that.
Wow.
Which is like worse than a fire drill.
Yeah. And they're legit. We're not talking drills. You're talking...
Well, the police had to come and clear out or check the school, which takes a few hours. Which I remember at one point, it was like the third one in 3 weeks. And I was like, I just wanted to do my history test today because I studied for that.
Yeah, especially the preparation you would have been putting into it.
Yeah. So, sorry, what was the question?
I was going to say, so I was just speaking from the drills perspective. You've actually got incidents happening. I was saying from a teacher's side, those happen, and it's not that, I understand that they're regulatory requirements. You've got to do them, undo that. But then almost the rest of that day, there's no coming back.
No, exactly.
Especially when it's an off-site thing where you've got to leave the grounds and all that. That day is done.
It's gone.
I just relax, enjoy the day.
Yeah, that's all you can do
Just enjoy
after.
the day. Okay, I remember our fire drill.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, we're up. Everyone off to the park.
Yeah.
Yep.
So steer them to what was allocated. The instructions they give us for the fire drill, you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're walking this way, we're walking out that gate. I will meet you all outside on the grass.
Yeah.
And I personally tune down the discipline a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to burn myself out.
Yeah.
This is another scenario. I'm not here to march them in like soldiers.
No.
So you got to sometimes let things go.
Yeah, of course, and have that on it. But it's funny, you highlighted perspective from students that I didn't even think of too. They have been prepared for certain classes and all that. And some of them are probably frustrated that they're going to be missing those classes and missing out on that work too. So I'm glad you were able to highlight that there. So that can be one type of punishing day. The other type of punishing day, which usually is preemptive, is kind of what we're doing right now. Theme days at school. Your mufti days, your dress up days. they're fun, they're great, they raise money, and they can be great for community. But yeah, they can sometimes be a hard day to teach.
Yeah, you got to ramp up the discipline.
Yeah, but it's hard to ramp up the discipline when you're dressed like this. But you give them the warrior press slam, maybe, I don't know.
I dress like this.
That's it, eh?
Yeah, it's that's like everything else, you know. Don't burn yourself out.
No, yeah, you got to wear it and get involved with what's going on, don't you?
Sometimes you just got to let things go.
Yeah.
Pick what they say. Pick your battles.
Pick your battles when you're in there.
Absolutely.
Oh God, you know. So look, they'd be probably the big ones there in relation to teaching. Are there? I don't know. Can you guys think of anything else?
What else?
In the teacher perspective, things
No coffee machine.
No coffee, which someone's... Actually, I think I actually had that and I missed it.
You did, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Either coffee machine out of action, no coffee on site, or moving to a school where there's a coffee machine. I think they could all be very...
Well, I moved to a new school and I'm used to these super facilities at this old school. Mate, that coffee machine was God's gift on the planet. I'd hit the button, I'd get my little coffee, I'd get my large coffee, you can get your mockers, everything was happening.
It increases productivity, doesn't it? Like, wow,
Hey, now obviously that's a super funded school. You go to a smaller independent school. I missed that coffee machine.
Get back to Nescafe, mate.
Oh, well, for Father's Day, my wife found a portable one because she really wants me to stay at this school. Obviously, I'm dropping my daughter off and picking it up, and I'm really enjoying it there as well. Yeah. So she found a portable coffee machine where it's like for a camping where you charge it in the batteries, you put your coffee on top, put the coffee underneath.
It's like Rambo style.
Pour your water in, hit the button, and I've become super efficient at it. And the teachers at this new school are going, wow, looks interesting. So I get my freshly grounded coffee, make my ice long blacks, and I'm good to go.
No chance of a themed fundraiser day to raise money for a coffee machine?
There is a coffee machine there, but I think this school is so close. It's so close to Rockdale that they just walk and get the coffees.
Yeah.
So usually one teacher does the rounds. Everyone want a coffee.
Yeah.
They grab the coffee. They come back, etc. So coffee seems to be a way to get away from the school a little bit.
Yeah.
Sit down, unwind, have coffee, have lunch, and then make your way back.
And that's a bit of the culture too sometimes, too, doing those runs and everyone having a turn and all that. So, that makes sense if they've got it set up like that.
At a new school, people do need their coffee and you see what they do.
Yeah.
Whereas at my old school, the coffee machine, I remember the principal saying, we had him on, look up the podcast, the coffee machine was a place for people to communicate.
Yeah.
So you'd get your coffee, it'd be a big staff room, you'd sit down, you'd have a chat, etc. I remember him saying, there's been a lot of problems solved here with this coffee machine.
100%.
Bringing the teachers together.
Who would have thought,
Whereas he did, so, good for him as the principal to organise it.
Yeah.
Whereas at the new school, getting a coffee is a break.
Yeah.
So it's an actual mental break. You actually remove yourself from the school, you walk to the cafe, you sit down with, a few teachers, you have a nice chat, you have your coffee, and you make your way back to school.
Yeah.
So it seems, they both have their advantages.
They do.
I mean, teachers are teachers. They find a way to detach, unwind, recharge and come back.
Yeah. Well, look, I got to say, when the coffee machine did come in, I used to have my second coffee the day after school. But the fact that now I'm getting it period 4, okay, which is about, your 12:30, it has made me, I think, more on the ball those periods 4 and 5. So it actually did improve my productivity upon my own reflection. And I never would have predicted that just having a coffee earlier would do that to my own practice. So coffee machine, it's an investment for a school.
Oh, absolutely. If your school hasn't got one, just buy one.
Yeah.
It was from those camping stores. It's about that big. It charges with a mobile phone charger, and you put nice grounded coffee, filtered coffee straight through, and takes less than 2-3 minutes to set up.
We can get a sponsorship for this coffee.
Yeah, can we get a sponsorship?
Well, look at that.
Put one on the table.
Absolutely.
I will say at one of my early jobs, the nature of the job meant I had to be in the archives a lot.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to interact with the other staff much. And I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do drink tea. And then because I was preparing loose leaf tea in the kitchen, so you've got to wait 2-3 minutes at least for it to brew properly. Suddenly I met a whole heap of people because everyone else was coming to return their coffee cups or to make their own cup of tea. And then you just talk about things that aren't work.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of value in a good coffee.
It is a social.
In a hot beverage.
It's important to socialize.
Yeah.
Like we can tell as teachers, first thing you look at well-being, how social are they?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the biggest indicator of well-being. And now, when I was a new teacher
My school?
at your school, man, socialize.
Yeah.
Okay, where are they going? Okay, who are these people? Get to know them. They get to know you.
Yeah.
They get comfortable with you. You get comfortable with them. And I've actually made good friends now.
Yeah.
It's more than just socializing. All of a sudden, you know, they call you out. You want to go out.
Yeah.
You know, you want to see each other. You want to relax and hang out after.
Yeah.
You know, which forms a very happy workplace.
Yeah.
And now at the new school, I went, great teachers are teachers, man. I mean, they're great people. They're great people here too. So I remember now at the new school, the head teacher took me for a coffee. We sat down. We had a break. We had a walk around Rockdale, grab some lunch, get to know each other. He wanted to get to know what kind of person am I.
Yeah.
You know, who's he got working here. So socializing with teachers in a school becomes very important. Yeah. And you do need to make the effort to do that.
Of course. In you saying that, though, and I think you brought me now to what I reckon is my final nightmare, and you actually just inspired me by saying that. This has happened to me 3 times in the last 3 years at my workplace. Workplace nightmare, when one of your BFFs leaves your school. Okay, obviously Rob, it's happened this year.
Sorry, Chris.
And twice in the 2 years before. Okay, you know, I think that's a nightmare for everyone. And you know, you're on your own. You're a bit like, I don't know. It's happened to you, Kate.
Yes, yeah. You lose your work husband or your work wife.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not an easy thing to leave a good school.
No,
it really isn't. I tell you the truth. I'm very happy where I am, but the same thing, I do miss where I came from.
Yeah. You know,
that misses you, Chris.
Huh?
Yeah.
Misses you.
Yeah, I do miss it. You know, like there's, you know, obviously I opened up a new chapter. I'm 100% committed to the new school. You know, I'm all in there.
Yeah.
But I did come from a very good place to work.
Yeah.
And your heart does miss it.
Yeah.
You do. Like you miss those friendships, but then too, you're happy seeing your friends grow and expand, you know, and, you know, you still have it. It increases your network too from that aspect, but you do miss those jokes and those mucking around and, you know, all of that. And even the students kind of pick up on it too, that they can see it there, you know, but I think that's sometimes a worst case scenario in school, you know, and not at school, in any profession.
Yeah.
When one of your friends goes, I think that's a workplace nightmare.
I remember us when they told us that at the school where you're at, we were working at, when the principal was changing.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
we were shattered.
I actually told him, he was quite surprised. We're at the formal and I was speaking with Simon. I go, you realise when they announced it, there was that jail stare down at the person that announced it. If anyone's getting stabbed in the room, it was him at the front. that quietness went through the room, and everyone's eyes were just fixated at a focal point at the person announcing that the principal is leaving, and it was quite a tense. I love the electricity in the room. It's just that beautiful body language of everyone
just getting deflated.
Oh, and he just kind of stumbled back a little bit. Oh, we are going to find someone great. No problem.
Well, that is one in itself, losing a good boss. You know, I think that's a big hit too, because, you know, it's not always easy finding a good boss. And, you know, just at a professional level and at a personal level too, like that can be a big hit too in any profession.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you're in that in-between period where it's been announced that the boss is leaving, but you don't have the new one yet. That's quite a limbo to be in, because you're missing them, but they're not gone, but they might not want to sign off on new things. And then you've got all the emotions as well.
It is.
Why are you leaving?
It is just this limbo state, isn't it? You know, and look, my new boss hasn't started yet, and I'm very optimistic that he will be fantastic. I want to make that clear at the time of this episode, okay? Sort of make that very clear. I'm very optimistic.
But to Simon's credit, you know, you have to say, look, you know, he did a great job. You know, of the 5 years, it was quite popular with all of us. And then when they did announce he was going, it was very interesting.
Yeah, it was quite the reaction.
I mentioned it to him and he was like, really? Okay, yeah, mate, it was on.
Yeah.
But like everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a point where no matter how long you're working at a school, could be 40 years, there will come a point where you will stop.
Oh, look, you have to. Opportunities happen, other circumstances happen, and, you know, life is a journey.
Life
you get pulled
happens,
in,
even
pulled in
retirement
different directions.
happens.
That's right,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, nothing is forever. But the most important thing, I believe, is that human nature, that human contact, create the friends, create those positive memories with the people you're working with.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what life is about. I
And
believe.
keep in contact with the coffees.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it, eh? Maintain it.
we still keep in contact, you know.
Lucky we see each other every week.
No, more than that. We're good friends, you know. And I'm lucky to have made good friends at the previous school I used to work at, and we still do socialise.
Yeah.
I get called out for you know, dinners, etc. You know, where you get to hang out as teachers.
Yeah. I think that is a happy ending to our nightmare on School Street. I think, you know, all good horror movies have a happy end.
Absolutely.
No one got terminated?
No, and as
No.
the great man once said, we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you very much. I'm Ultimate Chris from Ultimate Education.
Harriet Potter.
And I'll be back. Robert Namoski. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.